The US Navy has revealed that the discovery of the Titanic stemmed from a secret Cold War operation to discover the whereabouts of two sunken Cold War submarines. USS Thresher, SSN 593, was the lead boat of her class of nuclear-powered attack submarines in the United States Navy. She was the US Navy's second submarine to be named after the Thresher shark. On the 10th of April 1963, Thresher sank during deep diving tests about 220 miles, 350 kilometers east of Boston, Massachusetts, killing all 129 crew and shipyard personnel aboard. She was the first nuclear submarine lost at sea. Thresher was also the first of only two submarines that had killed more than 100 people. The other known sub-disaster is the sinking of the Russian Kursk submarine in the Barents Sea. USS Scorpion, SSN 589, was a skipjack-class nuclear submarine of the United States Navy and the sixth vessel of the US Navy to carry that name. Scorpion was lost near the Azores on the 22nd of May 1968, with 99 crewmen dying in the incident. Pieces of this Cold War tale have been known since the mid-1990s, but right now more complete details are coming to light. The US Navy is finally discussing it, said Robert Ballard, the oceanographer credited with finding the Titanic and an ex-US Navy officer. Robert Ballard did a great deal of deep-sea exploration for both science research and the US military. He was closely involved in the SOSA system, a line of undersea sonar listening devices used to track Soviet Cold War submarines and listen to all sounds under the sea. This data became the master database for submarine warfare, as we learned what enemy subs sounded like underwater. In 1982, Ballard met with the Navy to request funding to develop a robotic submersible technology he needed to find the Titanic. The Titanic sank on the 15th of April 1912 after hitting an iceberg. With the loss of 1,500 lives, it had almost no lifeboats, but even if it had lifeboats, most people died of hypothermia in the frigid air and water of the North Atlantic. Robert Thunman, then Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Submarine Warfare, told Ballard the military was interested in the technology, but for the purpose of investigating the wreckage of the USS Thresher and the USS Scorpion. Since Ballard's technology would be able to reach the sunken subs and take pictures, the oceanographer agreed to help out if his Titanic project would be partially Navy funded. "I was a little short with him," said Thunman. "I emphasized the mission was primarily to study the sunken submarines." The Navy wanted to know the condition of the two nuclear reactors on board the subs and assess any environmental impact. Probably not to help save the planet, but to discover if dumping more of the Navy's nuclear reactors on the seabed would be acceptable, and importantly, would they remain hidden? The mission was given the green light by President Reagan. The submersible Ballard planned to use was called Alvin. This craft had already proved itself as a nuclear weapon retrieval tool when it fished out of the Mediterranean a Broken Arrow US hydrogen bomb that was lost following a B-52 refueling crash over Spain. Alvin was based at Woodshole Oceanographic Institute. This place has served as a cover for lots of spooky undersea Cold War stuff. Bathyscapes like the Tirest and Alvin were often involved in looking for Soviet wrecks. Woodhole also has connections to Project Azorian and the attempt to raise the Soviet submarine K-129 in the Pacific. In 1985, the hunt to find both the subs and the Titanic began. The Thresher wreck was in the Atlantic, about the same latitude as Boston, and the Scorpion sank north of the Azores on the east side of the Atlantic. Drawing a line between the two submarine wrecks, a route ran right over the last known position of the sunken Titanic liner. Ballard had recently come up with a new theory about debris fields. This proved correct. If one small piece of wreckage is located, a line of bigger lumps would lead to the main hull sections. This proved useful in photographing all three wrecks. There is an unproved theory that both the US submarines had already been surveyed in the early 70s, so possibly the Titanic wreck was also discovered much earlier. But we have no way of knowing if this is correct. Let me know if you have information on earlier missions to find the Scorpion and the Thresher. Once again, a piece of Cold War clandestine history is the real story behind an apparently open piece of history. Remember, the truth is out there.